Hello, and welcome to Depth Perception. We discuss movies and dive into how films direct the way we experience them. We create a perception of sound, a perception of sight, with a dimension of mind. We move into a land of both shadow and substance, of themes and ideas. With me yet again, it's Tin Man.
How's it going?
And Potassium to the Maxium. little periodic table.
That is so
humor
good
for you.
That's K.
That is K. It's K plus. It's K plus, Max.
They call me Special K where I work.
K plus potassium.
Good to be here.
No, we'll see. We'll see how.
We'll see if it is. For now,
Stick and move. Stick and move. All right. Today's new chapter is class and poverty in movies. Could be one of the broadest, biggest topics we could discuss. So we're going to try and funnel in our conversation here. And I think our biggest talking point is going to be if and which movies are portraying poverty and class realistically, or if it's a idealistic portrayal that we see in most movies. So I have some talking points and subtopics to get through to kind of help shape our discussion on that. But the real meat and potatoes of our discussion is going to be class and poverty and its relevance or irrelevance to happiness. If there's any realistic portrayals out there and what's lacking, which would make them more realistic. And each of us are going to present a movie that is an idealistic portrayal of class and poverty in movies, and a movie that is realistic in its portrayal of class and poverty in movies. But leading up to that, we've got discussing when a movie showcases poverty and lower class, whose side are we on? And in parentheses, I have poor protagonist. Next topic is good versus bad. Is kind of shown most of the time as poor versus rich. But kind of the ironic thing is that the poor characters are striving to be rich, even though in a lot of movies they're the bad guys. And then we have examples of the rich longing for a humbler life. And in parentheses, I have the idealization of poverty in movies. And a couple of points here. I've got the idea of movement between class and wealth in movies. You get characters that move up and down. They're poor class to middle class, to go from poor to the top of the class system, and kind of whether or not we see that as an accurate thing. And then we compare that to the opposite, as in poverty is an endless, inescapable cycle where characters and people aren't going anywhere. They're stuck in their class. They're stuck in poverty, and that's where they're going to stay despite anything else. So that's today's episode. So let's go with the first point then, is establish where the audience typically is when a movie showcases a level of poverty and lower class. So to do that, I was going to kind of just talk to each of you guys first and kind of gauge what your idea of poverty is. Not movie-wise, just like in general, what you think poverty is. If anyone wants to go first.
I just feel like poverty is like not having the resources of the haves. If you're in poverty, you're often viewed as a have-not. Those in poverty usually lack the opportunities of those that are not in poverty. They lack the resources. Very often, they're looked at differently, less. And fairly or unfairly, I believe that to be true. I think poverty presents challenges as well as opportunities. Not to get too personal, but I believe that I'm the person I am. I have a lot to thank. I have poverty to thank for a lot of it. Resilience, right? But you got to be careful. I have to be careful because you can romanticize that resilience and say, "Oh, look at the stoic, from the reservation." And no, a lot of hard work by my parents, a lot of hard work by their parents, a lot of sacrifice. Standing on their shoulders got me to play. You want to avoid. This is a spoiler alert for anybody that comes into contact with me. Please don't ever act like you hit a triple when you were born on third. Because I'll fight you or I'll resent you. One of the two. I just can't stand those people. It's like, you got this opportunity and it's like, I'm better. I'm like, we all know your history. We all know that you were born on third base. You came out wet diapers on third base. The little baseball analogy. Don't look down on the rest of us like, I hit a triple. What did you guys do? You didn't hit jack. Your parents did this for you or someone did this. And I'll get very much into it because I love studying the idea of like class dynamic and social reproduction and things like that. And I think that there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of gray areas in poverty and wealth. And there's between opportunity and challenge. I think that wealth has opportunity and challenge also. It just looks a lot different. And especially in Western civilization, poverty is very often seen as lazy, and you have there's a lot of negative connotations with poverty, even though it might be just this is where you were born. I won't get into any movie titles. I won't go any further, but there's very little you have to do with with the class you're born in. You show me an adult though. And it has a little bit more to do with your work ethic and things like that. I think that's where I'll stop there.
I agree with that. I like that idea. I don't know if I have a solid definition in my head. I do have that feeling that further down the line, poverty can be more of a mentality than the lack of opportunities, especially where we're at. New York State will give you so much as far as like funding, resources, and food that sometimes I feel it can get comfortable or easy to stay that way because it might be a little out of people's wheelhouse to make those contacts or to make those connections, those networking. If you were to really wanted to dig yourself out, that it might be a little harder to do it, but it's not impossible. Especially where we're at, it's not impossible to move classes to go up and down. But to build those channels is sometimes a little too arduous for some people. And it's like, it is kind of easy if we just stay here. So
I like that you brought up the mentality aspect rather than the of course you're always born into it if that's where your family comes from, but K-Max has mentioned some of his family history of escaping that and getting to the place where him and his family are right now, and if they had a different mindset through all of that would have
yeah, because I feel like my family dealt with its fair amount of poor moments in their lives. Like talking to my grandma before she died, she would say, like, if we ever got any money winning it at lottery or the casino, we spent it immediately. I was like, really? Like, she was like, yeah, if we had a little bit of lump sum tax return, we're buying everybody dinner. I was like, so it would be gone that fast? She's like, yeah. She was like, that's how we were, though. We never thought we were going to get more than this amount here. And so that's why it was gone so fast. Yeah. She's like, that's why we never grew anything. Everything stayed. We would build, because my grandpa worked till, he's still working now.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's probably working right now.
Yeah, he's just like, outside just welding random stuff. Like, what's he doing? He's always working. But that was their mentality, though. So I grew up thinking, like, yeah, we're poor, but we're not poor. Like, in my head, we weren't poor because there's always where I was working, so it never felt like this was a trapped area. It just was like, oh no, they were like, don't do this type of construction like we're doing. You're only going to make this much. Like, oh, okay. So that was always. It never felt like we were poor though. I don't know if it was just just because my parents did a really good job of trying to make sure like that was a little less.
That's going to play into what we talk about later too. Is that almost ignorance is bliss, and you're just acting and reacting within the world that you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So that'll definitely play.
I think it's a blessing. I think that was a huge blessing.
Yeah.
James was mentioning that. I'm thankful for my parents every day because they never thought we were poor until you go to like school.
Yeah.
And you're with all the non-native. You're with the outside neighborhood. You're like, oh man, we po.
So I'll bring up a movie right now then before it leaves my mind. But Florida Project, which
that was in my list too. I had that
in the first season, and you follow Mooney through all of it.
Shout out to episode 3.
I think it was
4.
4.
Beginning Godzilla. Can we pay 4?
Shout out to episode 4.
But Mooney just acts within what she knows. She's bringing her buddy to safari at the local farm to see the cows. And they're just making their own fun at this place, and they don't know. Like I said, ignorance is bliss in that way. That they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess the way that I view poverty, kind of a combination of the two of you guys, because like K-Max, my family worked very hard. I don't think they started very low, but they made sure they worked hard to stay where they were and improve their lives. And so I haven't personally never felt hardships, I feel like, of quote poverty. When we'd go on vacation, if we wanted stuff, or we could earn stuff, if we wanted it. We'd go to Canada for lacrosse every summer. We had a roof over our heads. We had vehicles. I mean, at no point did I feel like, they're covering for us. So, they're telling us a little lie here when I know, we can't afford something like I never felt that, felt very grateful for when the holidays came around, and you could kind of compare to, you could see what other people had, what you had, and there's a sense of you earn what you can get. Mm-hmm. I feel like our family never experienced like real poverty, and obviously thank my parents for instilling that mindset in myself, and just working hard and staying busy to stay above that line, and so like I said, kind of a combination of the two of you, but I could definitely see, when you're working so hard and then you see the other guy not doing anything, not working, not getting up early and going to work and hustling and all that, and still getting by with the resources that are available to them, and not using them to their full advantage to say, okay, I got food set, now I can expand myself and get to that next level and get a job. Mm-hmm. Now I got a job, now I can get a vehicle, now I got a vehicle, I can get a house, like climbing that social structure and gaining that wealth. Because again, like you said, when you did get money or resources, it was boom, spent it. Mm-hmm. That's who we are, she said.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that it's sometimes it is circumstance, you're born into it, or a mistake happens, where it's taken from you. But then it turns into a mindset of, well, what do you know? How are you going to do it? How are you going to use your resources?
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely a interesting subject, because you want empathy for you walk down to Niagara Falls and you see people walking around on the streets, and you have empathy for them. But at the same time, again, you don't know their story. Right. Something could have happened. They might be at their lowest point. Mm-hmm. But you think, yes, I feel for them. Could they do something about it? Probably. You might I've known other people that have been to that level, used resources and climb, and now they're, stable, living on their own and living comfortably. So it's definitely an interesting subject, and my thoughts at first were a little gritty, I guess, on, this movie's not portraying it realistically because there's not enough grit, there's not enough, turmoil and devastation, to show that they're impoverished.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to, well, how are these people using the resources? Why are they living here? Why are they living there? Why, if you're dying in the cold, why won't you go where there's work in the warm? Stuff like that. Questions like that.
The old Sam Kinison.
Yeah, I was just thinking the exact same thing.
Move to where the food is.
Yeah.
Like
there's no food here.
Right. I think it's interesting what Vaz is saying, because the idea of like and I'm glad that it's a little bit nebulous with us when we talk about poverty. That it's not like, here's what it is, hard line. Because it'd be hard for me to have the conversation with anybody that has that hardline stance, because to have a hardline stance assumes the idea of the meritocracy. Like, based on merit, everybody has an equal chance. And idealistically, yes, that's exactly it. And my dad pretty much raised us that way. Show me the person oppressing you, we'll go talk with them and we'll get over it, and that's the one next excuse you have to hold on to. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad for that. But that dismisses so much structured, what's the word I'm looking for? Class-based challenges that are real, that are very real, that poverty, that are factors to poverty.
Right.
It dismisses way too many structures that are there in a Western civilization, at least, that maintain these classes. I don't want to say on purpose, because that'd be gross.
Right.
But on purpose in some ways. You have to have a working class. You have to have a lower class. In order for the affluent 1% to exist, there has to be this. Otherwise, you have no build. You have no build.
Right. There's the steps that you need to get to that point. Yeah.
Laid inside the basics, the foundations of Western civilization, are these classes here that are just as gross as caste India and other places, in like the Three Estates and in France. They exist and they're real. And it's almost like we politicize it now. It's like, do you believe in it or don't you? So you're one of them then, huh? So you can't find a middle ground like we're having in this conversation, where there's dynamic to poverty. There's a lot of things. Yes, there are merit-based opportunities, and if you really sacrifice, if you can delay that gratification, which I can't, by the way. I'm one of the people with this. I'm in the neighborhood with the spinning rims, right? On a 1976 Vega. It's like, he must have got his tax return. Yeah, you see my rims, dude? Yeah. It's like, get what your grandma talks about when you.
There's so much truck on Susie's Lane that always comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
I was like, it's not running. It has got a sweet paint job.
Sweet rims,
sweet rims on it, and it's up on blocks right now.
Well, that's right. Even in a couple of the movies and little books that I've tried to write, I tried to write that in there because they're about the reservation, and like the one movie was, he's walking around, he's driving his car through the neighborhood, and he's noticing houses with not siding on there, yet they got all these satellite dishes, car going by with these spinning rims, but. The brakes don't work, and there's 3 flat tires with the spinning rims. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing? Fix your tires first. But it's like this appearance. I want to give this appearance of wealth.
Yeah.
And I live still with that at 53. I still live with that, where I kind of like, I want my kids to present this way. I want them to look this way. And I'm like, man, I probably should fix my water line first.
That's more of a I believe it's a more recent cultural thing in the last 20 years or whatever, because I'll deal with people at work where they don't have a job. They don't have a car, but they got $300 shoes on.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a heavy gold chain you got on. Like, you got to take that off going into the jail. But you don't have
you have to give it to me.
Yeah.
I'll hang on to that.
You have to put it in this bag with the rest of your stuff. But you don't have a job.
I think what I think is interesting is maybe this is a whole new topic altogether that we can maybe circle back to. But the idea that like social media and the information age here taking a toll on that mindset, where before you're just hardworking, you don't know what you don't know, you work to get the next thing and the next thing that you need in your life, but now you open up your phone and you can see, oh, look at these shoes that this pop star is wearing. Look at this vehicle, and all this stuff that I don't have that I could get once a year with my tax return, or if I do some off the book stuff, I could get that really quick, the easy way, instead of take care of all my bills, my house, my car, and extra is used for that.
I watched a breakdown on something not too long ago, and it was like everything for vanity, like 30, 40 years ago, everything that was all vanity based. So like video games, TVs, they listed a couple other things. The value of that stuff now, like, is way down. Your house value, property, way high. And it's like the more the populace has been spending more money on the vanity, and the more production and demand for all of it is so high that the value has gone down so low. So now your cell phones are getting cheaper and cheaper. Well, like what it does is there's more. Your big flat screen TV, it would have cost $500 30 years ago. Only cost $500 now, and it's just all this stuff that's vanity is now getting lower and lower in value because there's so much demand for all of it for everyone.
That's interesting.
But a house that the necessities are getting higher and higher because the demand for it's different now. It's such an odd switch in value.
For a country. Pretty much, or
to look more than to actually be more is of higher value.
And that might be one of the things that clashes with our thoughts on mindset versus, how you use your resources. Is that stuff like that where it's, I'm saving up, but houses cost double than what you paid for it 10 years ago.
Yeah, right.
So that's that definitely plays a part.
Good topic.
Yeah, good topic. But like I said, we could talk for hours on this topic. So I'm going to move on then and try to get us back on track.
Yeah.
Based on
the station,
based on what we've discussed so far, then, what do you guys have to say about whose side are we usually on when we see a movie that showcases poverty?
I'm on the poor guy's side.
Yeah. Typically, yes. Yeah. Right. So I have, I'll go through the one that we all have watched for the pod, Hell or High Water, where we're on the brother's side throughout the movie. We could be on the ranger side as well, but we can at least empathize with the brothers and the idea that the bank has kind of messed them up here. And so even though the robbing banks, hurting people, killing people, we can still side with them and hope that they get the justice against the bank, at least.
Yeah.
So that's one. I wanted to bring up Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, good one.
Because there's one scene, and it's the introduction, that without it, we could have a completely different feel on this movie. So I don't know, as a reminder for anyone listening, if you haven't seen it, it starts off, Kuzco is already a llama. And there's voiceover by Kuzco, saying, would you look at this guy? You're kind of like, look at this poor whatever guy. And it's kind of like, we'll see how he gets to this point, and you'll see it's not his fault, kind of playing that up. But what you see is the character down on his luck, in the rain, no home, no friends, all alone, no resources apparently. He's just crying in the rain by himself. And then it cuts to, how it actually starts, and he's singing about how rich he is and how powerful he is, and he's dancing. The one poor guy's in his way. He hits him, so they threw him off the tower. Not a care in the world. He's planning to take over this guy's ancestral home to make his summer pool. Yeah. So not caring who he alienates, who he pushes into poverty and pushes homeless. But if we didn't have that opening scene to let us know, hey, he does get to the, our first impression of Cusco is him poor, alone, afraid, crying in the rain. And so to me, that was very important for us to subconsciously side with him before the movie starts. Because if we weren't shown that, and we're just shown him dancing and acting a fool to start off, our perception would be, I hope this guy gets what's coming to him. Yeah. So I thought that was a cool usage of the idea of, the poor guy is the good guy, or whose side are we at? Are we with a protagonist, or are we, or do we not have a protagonist in the story? So this one was definitely, set it up so the audience can side with him before we show him what a jerk he is. Mm. So, you guys have any thoughts on those two movies before I keep going?
And those are good. I don't have many thoughts because I think any of the elements that I would try to talk about, you nailed already. When you said Emperor's New Groove, I'm like, oh, I know that was on one of the little lists that came out in the pre-production, but I'm like, I totally forgot about that. It's so good for this.
What was the other one?
Hell or High Water?
Hell or High Water. Okay. Yeah. No, that was a good one. I mean, we are agreeing with, that's one you're siding with.
Yeah, so all of these so far, you're siding with the poor man.
Yeah.
The impoverished.
Even though the Emperor's the protagonist, but he's...
Right. And we have a pretty obvious one, but Wonderful Life, or It's a Wonderful Life, George versus Mr. Potter. Obviously, we're with George, but it's because he's like down on his luck here. And I don't think I would call him impoverished, but if you had to choose between George and Mr. Potter, who's the local millionaire or whatever he is, you're obviously siding with George in this situation. And when there's a line and there's two people across from each other, and the difference is, well, this guy's got a ton of money, and he just stole more. And it seems like his only motivation in life is to have more money. We're on the side of the guy that's trying to get it for other people. So, Robin Hood, kind of the same thing. Again, he wasn't impoverished, but he was fighting for the impoverished people. So he started off like his dad was a knight or something. Oh, they have land. They have like an estate, right?
Loxley
something. So he comes back to it and like finds his dad dead, and I'm referring mainly to the Prince of Thieves version of this with Kevin Costner. But
I was thinking of Men in Tights, how they just towed it away, towed the castle away.
That's awesome.
But then and you see the poverty in that movie, the taxes, the heavy taxes, and people living in the forest because they don't want to deal with that. And so Cinderella Man, it's been a while since I've seen that, but again, that one has, I wouldn't say any real bad guy except for the times. And then you have our boxer that is trying to just provide for his family and putting his life on the line and fighting with his hands, very, to me, very on the nose. Like, here's a hard worker. The epitome of hard worker is just get beat up, literally for money. So you compare that to like, any job that you're in, especially during those times there where if it's physical labor, you're beating yourself up just to provide for your family. And so a lot of these movies, again, we're siding with the lower person in hopes that they rise above, right? But I do have at least one movie where that's flip-flop, and our protagonist is wealthy, and our bad guys are in poverty. Home Alone.
That is wealth. I don't know if any of us
Kevin's
know
a
that
jerk.
kind of wealth.
He hates his mom. Seriously. Wishes they were gone.
We're going to take all 17 people to France. Look at this house. It's got its own area code.
Your father spent good money on this trip. Don't ruin it for me.
Everyone's a jerk, but we're rooting for Kevin. And like the robbers are, I mean, yeah, they're robbing, but if we're going to say, yeah, we like the robbers in Hell or High Water, but not
they're
Marv
stealing
and
from the
Harry.
rich. Yeah.
Marv and Harry are desperate too. That was pretty interesting because, like, I thought about it. I was like, why do I side with Kevin other than he's just making me laugh?
They had to make him a kid because if he was an adult, they'd be like, what an a-hole. You know?
I still said that.
Innocent kid.
He had to be an innocent kid. If he was an adult, they'd be like, get him.
And, like, you know, Harry was like, ever since I saw that house as a kid, I wanted it. Like, you could tell he's had this hard life for some time, and he's only ever wanted to improve. And I mean, the one thing he's good at is stealing from houses and impersonating police officers. Yeah. So he's using his resources, I guess. So this kind of bleeds into the next talking point, but the idea of good versus bad turns into a lot of poor versus rich. With the irony is that the people that are on the poor side are trying to get onto the rich side.
That's right.
So it's kind of an interesting thought to me that, well, it's like, well, the whole reason you're against these people is because of how oppressive they are against you, and now I get you want to get out of poverty, but you can see how it affects these idiots here, and you want to join them. Like, replace them maybe? I don't know. Yeah. But so that's good. One of them I thought of was The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, that's a good one.
So Leo's character, what's his name again in that?
Come on, I just had it. I literally had it written.
But, man.
I can see the real guy.
I know.
Right. But anyway, so his character starts off, you know, a humble life with his...
Jordan Belfort.
Jordan Belfort,
that's it. Yeah. So he starts off in a humble life with his girlfriend, you know, in the suburbs. I mean, didn't look that bad to me, you know, and he's finding his footing and trying to get into the stocks and all that. And by the end of the movie, he's this ultimate, lavish, borderline James Bond villain.
Yeah. Like James Bond villain.
Throwing money off his yacht, you know, fun coupons, like just a 180 from the person that he was at the start of the movie.
Quaaludes into a Lambo.
So when we start the movie, he's the good guy for us. Okay, we want him to succeed because he seems loyal to his girlfriend and
savvy,
or fiance, his wife.
He's willing to put in the work and make those connections, and
and that's what he's using his resources. He's
tricky and resourceful.
He's doing it from the bottom, and he's at the time doing it legally correct, I believe. To start
penny stocks or whatever they were selling. He was just selling penny stocks. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But then by the end of the movie, I mean, at least I saw him as like this villainous character now that represents everything that's wrong with that 1%.
Yep.
You know, throwing money off of a yacht at a FBI officer. Like you couldn't have just done that like in town. Where there's other people that can share it with you. Any thoughts on Wolf of Wall Street?
It's what's funny. Here's the irony: is that I enjoy it so much. The things that I look at, and like if I'm looking at it in society, I'm just kind of like look down on about the wealthy and about the excess, and I'm like how unfair it can be. I'd like to watch it because I'm like that's hilarious, and it looks nice big boat full of attractive people and beverage and food, having so much disposable income that you can just kind of roll in it. That's kind of a cool dream to have, right? And then I think to myself, I know me. I would be 500 pounds, first of all. Every possible disease. I mean, there's just so many maladies that would come with it.
You said ST or otherwise.
Seriously, all those things. Seriously, I mean, if I had that kind of resources, it would be probably a horrible, just a horrible outcome. Like, you hear about these stories of people winning the lottery that are not capable of holding that kind of wealth. Yeah. And it's like, it destroys them. It can. It doesn't have to, but it can.
Yep.
That's a really good example where you have him starting off as a good guy.
Like our protagonist. He's our protagonist.
Just to become the villain when he's rich.
Right.
But also as far as class mobility, him being able to just...
And that'll bleed into one of our next ones, too. But I kind of have in here kind of a lump of movies. So Gladiator, Hunger Games, that sort of movie, where it's people literally fighting for their lives and to get out of poverty.
Oh, that's right. Fighting for your freedom, yeah.
Right. Who knows what that freedom entails once you're out of it. Because your only skill was killing people, so who knows? But it's that idea where you're oppressed, you're enslaved, you're poor, you're no money, no house, no land, no wealth, and you're fighting the rich who are just, all they want to do is watch you do it for entertainment. They don't care about you. They don't care if you live or die. They want to see your head chopped off. They want to see you chop off other people's heads. And they're throwing money at it. It's their entertainment. And so, obviously, in that dynamic, you have the good guys, the oppressed, and the bad guys that are just soaking it in. So, but I'd lump those two together, kind of similar premises, right? There Will Be Blood, very similar to Wolf of Wall Street, where you start off, there's this humble guy out in the middle of the prairies and the deserts, looking for oil. Well, I think at the time he might have been looking for gold, but either way, looking for riches the hard way. You could tell just by looking at this guy, hasn't bathed in probably weeks and out by himself, no other resources except his tools. And again, strikes it rich, and by the end of the movie, he's his own worst enemy. We despise the person that they're watching on screen, and we see again every way that wealth makes a person a bad person.
The good versus bad. I think of Great Gatsby.
Oh yeah,
with good, like how it's portrayed, like the poor Gatsby, the soldier who longs for a better life, sees it around him, and he sees it enough that he starts longing for it, coveting it, I guess, looking for it, saying, what I have, is it enough? And I have a chance to be these people. I think it's super interesting book movie, because the couple of movies that I saw, the one with Paul Rudd and the one before that, didn't capture this part real good, but the DiCaprio one captured it really well, where it showed him from a very young age seeing the difference in social class, like noticing it and saying, why are they better than me? Not, are they better than me? Not, I'm content in my life, this is my lane. Looking, saying, resenting it, saying, what makes you think you're better than me? And I'm going to strive to be just like you are. And it comes to a head with the scene when they're in the apartment in New York and they're partying in Tom, and they're having, Daisy's there, almost like a prize to be had, which is kind of gross. But like Tom and Jay are having this face-off, and Jay's really, Tom's calling him out for who he is. I did some homework on you. I had looked into you. How's this going? And and Jay's losing it a little bit. And he's like, no. He goes, the only thing that makes you better than me is your money, and I got as much as you now. And he's like, no, that's not what makes me better than you. You know what I mean? Like saying, even though he does have the same amount of money now, but he just got to it differently. And to me, that captured a lot of this dynamic wonderfully for me, because Tom felt, because I have generational wealth that was handed to me, my money's real. you've had to hustle for this, and you have to do some shady dealings. You have this new money now, and yes, you are probably equal wealth with me right now, but you came upon it new right now, and you came upon it in ways that are unsavory, right? So we see that dynamic a lot in Hollywood, where if you're poor and you have to hustle, you get through it like the even a lot of like the urban movies. You get through it by hustling, by dealing. You know what I mean? And you can have these things, and you can be wealthy. I mean, look at the whole Jay-Z idea of, from
50 Cent.
From bills to billboards, grams to Grammys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And roles opposite Orphan Annie. You know what I mean? Like these are things that communities that impoverished neighborhoods strive for, to get that status and get it now. And that's in the Great Gatsby scene. I see it a lot now, where it comes to a head, and it's almost like he gets pushed down again, saying, "We know what you really are. Nice try, Daisy. Let's go home." And her just seeing it too a little bit, saying, "Take me home." Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, yeah, it's like, yeah, I kind of see it. That's something that always gets a rise out of me reading that book and seeing. It's one of my favorite books. I think it's one of my favorite books. And then that movie did a good job of capturing it. The one with hey, we went DiCaprio to DiCaprio there.
Hey, we did.
Yeah, we did.
He plays a good first impression guy and a good bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So in Titanic. No,
all right. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll be.
I know. I know that one's saving up.
But I'll shift it back to James, because I know he knows one for this section. Starts with an S, rhymes with Snowpiercer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Snowpiercer. That's a good one. So this, wait, what are we on?
We're still on the idea of good versus bad, poor versus rich.
Okay.
And the strive to be rich.
Okay, so yeah, Snowpiercer I thought was like perfect. This could fit a few of our categories, I thought. Like, I'm not going to say it unless Corey picks up, so.
No, go for it.
Oh, but Snowpiercer.
That's something I haven't seen yet.
Oh.
I know.
Do we even...
Can you do like on the surface?
We'll do surface stuff. Okay.
It pleases me that I haven't seen it.
We'll do the first 30 minutes of the movie. I'll talk about it. I won't go past that.
We'll go like this.
I won't talk about anything past...
You're like, I'm going to talk for 30 minutes.
No. The 30 minutes of the movie. So in the first 30 minutes, you have the people living in the train, and they have... All of humanity has frozen over. The world is frozen over after
just this one train.
Okay.
All of humanity is alive on this train, and the train only keeps everyone alive because it's constantly in motion.
Okay.
So it travels around the world.
All right.
And all of humanity is what's left because the world had frozen over.
So it's just on a train.
Yeah.
Big train?
This group,
I assume.
I forgot how many
Guess
cars.
how it's organized.
By color of your skin?
Well, by class and wealth.
By class and wealth.
So you don't know what's on the you don't know how the rest of the train looks. To the first part of the train. So you're stuck with crowded, dirty, smelly groups of people who are fed in little nutrition
Cubes
bars,
of,
little
quote nutrition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're just these little cubes is all they try to ration them out. Some guys will give them some to others. There's one story because there's the one guy who's kind of the older, more leading guy of the group. He has one arm, and you find out later on that he had to cut it off in order to feed some of the people that were still on the train.
Oh man,
Chris Evans is now kind of become the organizer, kind of the guy in charge right now of the group, trying to keep everyone.
That train car represents kind of like the dirt and grime that
I see.
Beforehand I had associated with, well, if you want to show poverty in movies, here's how it's got to look.
I see.
And that's, you think of that, and that's what this train
Are they at the back? Are the caboose?
So their plan is they got wind that the guards at the front end of their train probably aren't armed, that all the bullets were used at some point. There was a rebellion, and that there might not be any weapons left. They're going to try to take on the next car and take on a rebellion and work their way up. And that's the plot. That's the beginning right there.
Karl Marx would be proud.
So as you go through each train car, you can kind of see where that's going. So yeah, I think we'll keep it there.
I have so many questions. I have to watch this.
You do have to
watch it.
And it was right there in the running for one of the movies to watch for this chapter.
Ned Stark's in it, right?
Nope.
No?
Sean Bond?
Sean Bond?
Scene Bean? Scene Bean?
Yeah, no, he's not.
I thought I saw him in... Is he in the series, in a movie series?
Oh, he might be. There is a movie series.
He's definitely in the series.
Oh, yeah, there's a TV show,
That's the one he's in. Watered down.
I haven't seen I don't want to say anything about the show because I haven't seen any of it. But the movies, it's good.
I got to watch it.
So we'll go kind of opposite, the poor striving to be rich. Then we'll move into grass is always greener, the rich longing for a humbler life. So I kind of see this more as stories that idealize poverty and emphasize freedom rather than the struggle. So kind of like, first world problems, somehow thinking that they're worse than the problems faced by the poor. And the comparison often kind of glazed over. So the first movie that comes to my mind is Aladdin. Jasmine.
Yeah.
I'm stuck behind these walls. I have no freedom. I can't do what I want. And then dresses up and goes outside the walls and immediately steals a thing for a kid.
Immediately just hands some kid.
She looks at her hand.
Yeah.
Immediately gets the penalty of hand chopping off for stealing.
It's so hilarious. I knew it.
But it's this, everything else is glazed over though. Well, you've already eaten for the day. You have no, you have nothing to worry about right now because you just entered this life.
Mm-hmm.
You're only visiting. You're going back.
Yeah.
You have a home. You have a warm place to sleep. You have dinner waiting for when you done playing dress up here. And
that's the term that comes to mind, playing dress up.
And so all of those problems are kind of glazed over, and what she focuses in on is the freedom, and then the freedom that Aladdin himself kind of represents, whole new world and flying around the carpet, and it's kind of like, well, no, if you want to be poor, let's make you poor,
Right. A street rat is a rat.
Yeah.
What do you guys have to think about Aladdin?
I think it's good. I think it's a real good one because you see the dynamic perfectly. Like he wants to be something, and she wants to be common. There it is.
And another one. The more I thought about it, I was like, should I put this one as a? We haven't had an animated movie yet, so I was like, maybe this one I should put in for poverty.
I do like that. It's immediately
does wrong.
She gets arrested for stealing.
It's like the first thing she does, right? Yeah. She goes down the marketplace. Yeah. Oh, you hungry? Here you go.
Yeah.
Immediately disobeys all social structures of the outside world.
I think it's a perfect example, though. I like in Aladdin. It's so accessible, too. And you can see it so clearly. It's so cut and dry.
Well, that's the thing. Spoiler alert for season 3, but I think it's season 3. Maybe it's season 4. The animated movies have a way of making their message crystal clear because they have to recreate everything from start and from scratch. So whatever message you're going to do, make sure you cut it, because if you add 5 minutes onto the movie, it's going to be a month worth of work.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So whatever you're saying in the movie has been thought over and reinforced during each step of the process.
Oh, I actually had examples for that category too.
Like what?
So that I actually have for The Truman Show.
Oh.
So not necessarily rich and poor, but have and have not. He's living a life of everything's given to him. He has everything he needs. He's wanting nothing in his life. It's all created around him. It's all a facade.
Mm-hmm.
And he's willing to go through the storm just for something that's more real. Because what he has is not. It's not real to him. There's no struggle. He has everything he wants. That. He's got best friends. He's got a good job. He's got a beautiful wife. Everything is perfect for him. And so him wanting to fight all those urges, everything that they instilled in him and trying to stop him from seeing the outside world. He's willing to take on whatever hardship that entails just for something that's more real to him.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I thought that was a neat idea. Just in the have not category. Not necessarily him being rich, but he's wanting nothing. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the ideas I thought for. And then the for richer for poorer one, where they're, Tim Allen, Christy Alley, where he's they are rich, they are wealthy, they're yuppies, is in the worst possible way, getting I think they're getting like charged with like embezzling or something like that. So they're hiding with this Amish family who they accept them and they just start making them work. They're like, they're working every day. They're getting up early. They're hating it. They're hating each other, and then kind of seeing the value in, building stuff with your own hands. Yeah.
I missed that movie. I haven't watched it in a long time. That's a good one.
The other one I had thought of was The Family Man, Nick Cage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but it was, he's this corporate man or something, mm-hmm. and, the magical Freaky Friday type of thing,
mm-hmm.
but sees what his life is void of, and it's all the humbler things in life. So, yeah.
And I like, because sometimes it's situational, right? The rich that longs to be for the humble life for a purpose, like for maybe a season. I want to keep my foot here because I want to be able to go back to the palace because I'm hungry and I need to be bathed. And I really do like those bathers. So coming to America, wanting to find a common wife, wanting to find someone who doesn't know you for being king, someone who doesn't worship you and adore you, but someone who loves you. And also wanting to be in touch with the common people. So they come to America and, you know what I mean? And it's just...
Not someone you can go, bark like a dog.
Right, yeah. Yes, you remember that? Oh, she's so attractive. Anyway, I think Coming to America is a good one. And then there's two more that are situational, a little more situational, like Lion King, where Simba's like fleeing, not really like going for the purpose of, I want to go be a commoner. But he eventually says... I like this life.
Yeah.
I like this carefree life. Hakuna Matata, baby, let's go. No responsibility, no leading the pride. And I just hang out with my buddies. And it's like, yeah, man, I relate to Simba more than I like to admit. There's that, that longing there. And even when you do have like family stuff and community stuff and maybe even churchy stuff that you're called to a little bit to be these positions of trying to be somewhat responsible leader. You still long for these moments, these podcast moments. You know what I mean? Playing basketball, hanging out with the guys, Disney. I want to just chill my brain for a minute. And so when I see some people in some of these movies, like Simba, it's like I don't know if he was rejecting the leadership so much, or even the place in his society that he had. But I think that maybe more it was like he was escaping. I have to get out of here. And then when he got a taste of it, he's like, "Oh yeah, these are my people.
Yeah,
this is my."
The trauma of the. It's your fault your father died. And it's like, I don't want to mentally deal with that problem.
That's it.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah. Get me out of here. And I think if even on a lesser extent, the King's Speech, like he's not trying to become a commoner, but he wants to be able to appeal to the commoners.
That was brought up when I was trying to Google search, movies with poverty.
Because I don't know if it captures it perfectly, but what it does, and it's one of my favorite, it's definitely top 10 in my list. Anytime I can put in my top 10 in any of these conversations, I'm going to. So, like, the idea of I need to be able to appeal, it's like art imitating, like real life. It's like, but the royals had to, at that particular time in world history, in order to gain the support of the masses, you had to appeal to them and appear that you were like-minded as the commoners. So, of course, his speech had to be good. And if he was just talking, he could have probably read it as a royal, but he wanted to sound more common. He wanted to sound, without his stammer, accessible. Mm-hmm. And so, again, I think to a lesser extent, I feel like situationally, he wanted to be a commoner. I don't think he wanted to give up the throne. Although, if you watch The Crown or any of those things or study the royal family in England, many of them didn't want that burden. It was between his brother who wanted to marry the the divorcee, and even him, he wanted to live. And the queen certainly didn't want her role. She was happy to just be part of the royal family. I'll say this though, they did enjoy the benefits of it. They did enjoy the having, the high lifestyle.
QB2.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's it. Those were two that I thought about.
It's Moran from Blue Mountain State. All the benefits, but don't want to wear the crown though.
Such a great. I can't say great movie because people will hunt me down, but a great show, fun at very least.
Yeah.
QB2.
All right, I'll go into the fourth talking point. Then we got highlighting the movement of class and poverty shown in movies. So we've kind of hinted at some of it already, but again, Aladdin comes up about street rap and finds a genie and becomes top of the class system, and he's a prince now. And kind of staying along the same lines here, something like Knives Out. Our main character, well, I guess I don't know, is she our protagonist or is the detective our protagonist? I'd say she is.
She is. He's the vehicle.
Yeah.
He's probably on the screen more. I would still say she was the protagonist. Yeah.
So, because she became close with the patriarch of this family, he puts her in the will to receive the house. So, because of some divine intervention, she gets out of and it wasn't like she was in poverty, like she was working as a visiting nurse. But to jump levels from that to above the family that she's been working for this entire time with a snap of the fingers, or I should say a flick of the wrist, right? Because anyone that see it gets it. But it's this idea that a lot of times you're in poverty, you're in lower class. Something magical happens, something miraculous happens, and you escape it. And so it kind of calls back to this idea of idealistic portrayals of poverty, where it's like, oh yeah, all you need is a little bit of luck. All you need is a genie. All you need is someone to write you in their will. And I guess something also like Les Miserables, where Jean Valjean. He is released from prison and immediately tries to steal from the clergy. And it's only by the grace of that clergyman that allowed him to keep the silver and gave him even more goods that he's able to restart his life. And somehow became a mayor of a town based on that. So it's like, again, someone's divine intervention to lift you up out of poverty and magically place you at the top somewhere.
Pretty Woman.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt to look like Julia Roberts. But, common streetwalker.
Yeah.
Winning over a very high-powered consultant. Has his own,
being married out of it, basically.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one.
And it's just a magical, happenstance that he was like, what, I want to pick myself up a hooker and fall in love.
And marry her.
Yeah.
It's good work if you can get it.
But when I try it.
I almost pulled the whole station down laughing.
No one on 19th.
When I try it,
no one on 19th looks like Julia Roberts, so,
And believe me. I see sometimes like movement between classes, and some, like, if you can be seen in some circles as a betrayal, like, how dare you leave us? Like, you think you're better than us? Like, and so I think of the Friday movies and the Barbershop movies, like the communities from those neighborhoods, like Ice Cube wrote, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then even like, I think of urban movies a lot for this, because there's a lot of that perception that if you attempt to move out of there, you're better than us. You're not true to the streets. You're not authentically hood. You're not. And then I see like the Pursuit of Happiness, like a totally different departure. Like you're rooting for him from the start, but like you're down and out. You have this, you have these circumstances. Everything's against you, and you just grind, and the grind gets you there, and you do get. So it's there for everybody. But I'm not going to not waste, but use my last bullet because I want to talk about the gray areas of poverty. And I think Pursuit of Happiness does a nice job of addressing those. Like, yeah, you're on your way up. You're working for it. You have these societal dynamics that you have to live with and that you have to overcome. Your work ethic still takes you there. Your sacrifice still takes you there. Your lack of excuse making, no matter what, still takes you there. So to me, there's a little bit of fantasy in that because sometimes the gray areas will get you. They're very real, and the gray areas will get you. In politics, and we're led to believe that nope, you can do it. Meritocracy, based on your merit, you just go. And you're like, but you're just totally dismissing the fact that all of these things are here. My credit rating's not good. Well, that's not good if you work hard. No, you're not going to get certain jobs if your credit rating's not good.
Right.
Is that fair? Is that fair? Maybe your credit rating has nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? You can't get a vehicle to drive to work. There's certain things in certain societies that are just really, there's a lot of gray area there. So yes, you can work your way. You can sacrifice. You can see the bigger picture. You can delay your gratification. You can not just buy the spinner rims and buy a suit for the next job or something. But man, Pursuit of Happiness does a nice job talking about the movement of class and the sacrifice that comes with it, the payoff that can be there, the yummy payoff that can be there. But it talks about the gray areas a little bit more. In like films like Barbershop and Friday movies, almost poke fun at the character that's trying to read and trying to go to college and they do celebrate him ultimately. And they end up being part of the solution, which is nice. But like Ice Cube and those people that write those movies and like do the right thing in a lot of Spike Lee's movies, they talk about that social dynamic where the real heroes in those movies are you still hold true to who you are, even though you do move up. You know?
Yeah.
And the villains are the people who move up, and then they victimize them. And they victimize, like you'd say, like some businesses on even the reservation. They move up, and they should be celebrated because that's ambition, there's sacrifice. But then you end up exploiting your community.
Yeah, the people you
in
once
that position. Were. Yeah, you end up exploiting them. And to me, that's like you've really created a villain there. And I need one of you guys to finish one of your movies for crying out loud to show that. Because it ain't going to be me. Sorry, Buzz. I chase rabbits.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I appreciate all the input, though.
But yeah, you can... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
I was just saying, like, you can see that, too, on the reservation, too, where we're at, where, like, you can see people... Because who else said it? It might have been Daryl I heard say it, too. But was... It can be like a bucket of crabs. As soon as one crab starts to get near the top, the rest of them pulling back down. Right. Yeah. And so there's like an internal fight to try to get away from that as well.
Yes.
I feel like it's not like that. Like I could see that in black communities. I could see it on reservations, but it feels like in the white communities it's not prevalent because they're so distant from the rest of. They're kind of separated a little bit. There's not like a big family, a connection to as much community.
Mm-hmm. I think like some very poor white America is like when I lived in Alabama, along near Biloxi, Mississippi and stuff. They could have been reservations. They could have been ghettos or barrios. Those neighborhoods with trailer parks and just very deep poverty. I felt really comfortable there, sadly, because it felt like home. The closest thing south of the Mason-Dixon line felt like home were those very poor neighborhoods. And then we'd have Thanksgiving there. And when we were with the band out in Santa Rosa, some very affluent vineyards, great wine country there. And where did we hang out with? The bands that we played with, they were the laborers in those vineyards. And they had communities inside the vineyards, labor communities, that were either Mexican laborers, migrant workers, or native, like very poor native folks. living in these communities, and we had like Thanksgiving there, and they had these split barrels and the best food, and we had, you know, great drinks and great fellowship. And I was thinking, why do we fit in so well here? And I'm like, well, you know, they have many of the same struggles regardless of the skin color. They have many of those same struggles and the same class, you know. So there's some comfort there too. There's some comfort when you fall back to that.
Yeah.
And anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. I don't probably nowhere. I thought it was interesting though. Well, because you mentioned like the color a little bit, and very often there is a dynamic with color, but very often it has to do with the socioeconomics more than the color, because you can find pockets of every group and every color.
Mm-hmm. Well, it kind of relates though to the next opposite topic though, of poverty as an escapable and cyclical nature, where there is no movement, there's no going up and down. It's you're stuck. That's where you are. That's where you belong. That's who you are. So movies like Requiem for a Dream maybe has a little bit more to say about drug use, but goes hand in hand with poverty certainly, and the whole mindset that we've been talking about, where it's instant. I need to escape where I am right now, even if it's for a little bit, even if it's for a day, an hour, a couple minutes. Boom, I need it. So Requiem for a Dream with the addiction and all that, to me, goes hand in hand with a lot of themes in poverty. Florida Project, certainly. They're all stuck at this motel. The only way to escape it is to hitchhike, and they all come crawling right back because they can't afford to go anywhere.
I think
else.
that's like a perfect example, because like even the way that they operate, how they think, how they do things, I go, they're it's almost like they've gotten so accustomed to being almost, I think, awful people, just that like I don't think they deserve to get out. Like the kids are still innocent at this time, and so it's like, this is what your future holds if you still go down this path, or you still if your mom is training you to become this someday, this is what you have to look forward to.
You're not escaping.
Yeah.
You're just being trained to replace her.
You're trained to replace her.
There it is.
Yep. Perfect.
Wow.
Perfect.
Much like she probably was.
Yeah, much like she probably was. Wow. And it's not like, and the thing is though, it's like, I know people in those situations, you don't have to act like that. You know, like,
yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Because there are people in their own families that are like, they're stealing from them. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people that are in that lower class have a better sense of right and wrong than people in upper class, because then it can become gray. They can hide it away, and it's not an immediate.
Oh, it's not my fault. That's not me.
Yeah, you can vague it up a little bit, and the victim might not be so apparent that they were wronged, because it's a little more gray in some of the higher end stuff. Where when you're down, at that level, steal something, you're like, hey, I know I had this, and you freaking took that. Like,
really,
I need that.
Really good. Really
so
good.
It hurts a little more when something even small is taken from you at that level. Mm-hmm. That I feel like people at that level have a better understanding of right and wrong, what's fair and what's not. But when that's your mentality, like Haley's mentality, no, like I don't know. She's creating a prison for her daughter is what she's doing. She's not getting out of it.
And she's certainly smart enough to do things to escape. Like, the whole idea of...
She can hustle, but she's creating... it's a negative hustle. You're taking from others that it's going to close the walls in on you, is what she's doing. And
I think that dynamic that Tin Man brought up a lot. Like, the more desperate you are, the more blatant the crime is.
Yeah.
And then you get to, then you go to the upper level, the white collar crime. And then you get an explosion of movies that talk about, we're going to live in the margins. We're going to extort in the margins. I think of like The Big Short. Mm-hmm. And like the opportunity that big wealth gives you, that you can take advantage of the working class and soak them and live in the margins, and they won't even feel it.
Right.
They're losing 0.5% here.
Right.
Even the Wolf of Wall Street a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, how are we going to gain our wealth? We're going to do it this way. And then they all kind of look at each other like, this is legal? Mm-hmm. To that poor person, it's the biggest crime it could be. You're taking maybe the older person, the impoverished, at the end, ready to retire, and their entire retirement is going to be based on this market that you're exploiting and extorting. But when you're way up here, it doesn't seem like that big of a crime.
Right.
You don't really even see, and there's all kind of movies there
not even that much of a crime, but it hinges on keeping those people right where they
That's
are.
it. Mm-hmm. That's it.
I.e.,
I need you to stay there. Yeah, I need you. And it's so funny how, again, I get all Western civilization, we look so down at like the caste system in India of how can you have the untouchables? You're so crude. You just have them labeled. We do it, but we do it in a capitalistic way, so we're a little more comfortable. We need to have those classes underneath us. The 1%ers, they don't exist without the middle class. I mean, the rest of them don't exist without the hardworking, tax-paying middle class.
Right.
I'll get off the soapbox, but man, that's a big soapbox. Has to be. I'm a big guy.
One of the other ones I wanted to bring up was Oliver and Company, and I'm thinking of the animated one just because that's the one I know best. But you have I forget the gang leader guy that's hustling, stealing trash off the streets and trying to say that it's, give it to his boss to me. Say, hey, it's treasure. Mm-hmm. So you have him just doing what he knows throughout the whole movie. He's so ignorant about how to actually find wealth. And there's even part of it where he finds a cat, right? Oliver brings it to his boss, or whoever the guy is, this crime boss of some sort. And the crime boss, his rich mentality or whatever, thinks, oh, perfect, you're finally moving on up. You're going to hold this cat for ransom because it obviously belongs to some rich person. So hold it for ransom. Now you're thinking like a big boy. Yeah. And he's like that thought never even touched this guy's mind as to how to turn this cat into money. So, yeah. Like he's portrayed as like this big idiot that, again, has no idea how to actually turn nothing into money, or whether it's a good way of doing it or a crooked way of doing it. And then by the end of the movie, he hasn't changed one bit, and Oliver has gone on to live a better life.
Yeah.
And he comes over to their house, and he's, they mix together now, where it's not such a class system where it's, well, you don't mix with them because they're rich, you're poor, because the butler and the guy are wrestling together, watching wrestling on TV at the end. But it's still the same thing. He hasn't learned any one bit. The presents that they give to, I forget the girl's name, the girl that adopts Oliver. The presents that they give her are all like trash again, like a tennis racket that's been bitten up, stuff like that. And so, again, he has no clue what wealth means, and he's never going to learn what wealth means, and he's never going to learn how to achieve it. He's going to be in that same position all his life, and those dogs that are part of his gang are going to be loyal to him because they don't know any better. So yeah, that was my. I thought that one fit it pretty well. That subtopic there. Any other thoughts on this one before I move on?
Let me just take a peek again. That's the one with
mobility
through
lack of mobility.
I mean, similarly to Oliver and Company, Oliver Twist.
Yeah.
I feel like Mr. Brownlow and Fagin are like two perfect examples of
Fagin. That's it.
Of two characters that are low, high. I was watching it with my English class last year. I was like almost insulted by the fact that Fagin was like just such a stereotypical low class cheating scumbag. He had some redeemable qualities, sure, but Mr. Brownlow was like this saintly, upper class. I'll take you in, child. You know what I mean? And that ends up where he is because he's made it. Meanwhile, this poor kid was just like Industrial Revolution, post-Industrial Revolution England. Everybody got moved in these masses to the cities for jobs. He was in a workhouse. He was an orphan in a workhouse, and he was one of the lucky ones. So he got out because he was lucky. Otherwise, he was stuck. Like, you see all these kids that were with Fagin, all these criminals and Artful Dodger and whatnot. These folks, they were so good at becoming crooks, and because that's the only way to make it in that social class. You were stuck there. You just had to be really good at being a crook because that's the best you could hope for. Unless Mr. Brownlow, someone like that, comes in and adopts you,
right?
And all of a sudden, oh, you made it. Now you're one of them.
Yeah.
And that was the only chance you had getting out. And I think Hollywood does it on purpose because it's the fantasy that they're selling to all of us who are watching it. Yeah. I could get out. I could aspire to be that too.
Well, that's one of the interesting things, though, is that I think we'll touch on this when we talk about the idealism, but it's filmmakers that are telling these stories on poverty, and it's
okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh out loud. Yeah.
Show me.
Well,
I mean, maybe you have history of it, and you had to work your way up. But I mean, you're also coming from producers and companies that are giving you this money to make this movie.
Oh yeah,
these millions and millions of dollars.
So hold on. I got so one of the movies I was looking at was Pain and Gain, where they try to do criminal work that gets them into drugs and murder, and they lose everything after. But that was one, and then inability to the lack of mobility.
Yeah,
and then Elysium.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the one. This. Yeah. So it's Matt Damon living on a we use you as like.
Wait,
your number. You're just a number that we throw in to do work in that oh, oops, you got stuck in the machine longer. Now you're going to die. But sorry, next person. And the upper class lives on a floating satellite outside of the world. Like there's no mobility. Like can you go to outer space? Good luck going to outer space with all your junk scrap parts.
You try and jump. Okay, yeah. You try and jump up there.
Yeah. We're going to make it so high you're out of orbit. Yeah, good luck. You're out of orbit. And the only way they can do that is when somebody comes down with a ship and they got to hijack it in order to get to the other world. It's another world. It's so far beyond them. It's another world.
Literal, another stratosphere.
And it's just like
level.
And I'm just like, I love it, Matt Damon. Tell me how it's struggling.
Tell me your woes of poverty.
Well, I think it's funny because when you brought that up, I'm like, yeah, you're right on the money. It's like, and Ricky Gervais has probably the best commentary when he hosted the Emmys.
The
Golden Globes.
Yes.
It was absolutely perfect. How out of touch, and it was just so perfectly said. Again, I got my hangouts with the guy. But man, oh man, was it so wonderfully said. The whole evening was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
You see the uncomfort of Hollywood. He's like, tell us another story about how this. And they're like looking at each other. Like Scorsese
he's got a bunch of good.
Looking at Tom Hanks. And they're all like,
Jennifer Lawrence is marching in the streets, outraged at women. Like, how can a 25-year-old live on $50 million a year? How is that possible?
It's part of me. I mean, we're all gosh, I can't remember the term. I think of Karl Marx a lot when I think of social class at all and poverty. And the proletariat, we're all the proletariat, just struggling to get by, and the wealthy capitalists are just watching us, laughing us, and then defining these roles for us. We're like, we're okay with this? Looking around like, they're telling us this. And in Hollywood, and it's depth perception, we look at movies. We're studying and looking at, not even studying, just kind of observing.
Yeah.
And giving our perspective and the perceptions on. And I think Vaz just did a nice job of resetting the conversation, saying, by the way, these are filmmakers in Hollywood making these. The nice thing about independent films and things like that is now you're getting more people, like Florida Project, that are making these without these big Hollywood budgets.
Right. And more chance for maybe these people actually do have brush-ins with poverty.
Yes. That's good. That's real good.
So how about class and poverty as irrelevant to happiness?
Yeah, the idea that joy can be found in any state.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that one comment that I like to make before we get into any movies about it is, you see bumper stickers and you see like Instagram posts where like, sure, money can't buy happiness, but I've never been sad on a yacht.
Right.
Or I've never been sad at Disney.
Right. Exactly.
And so I think of a whole diet of movies where,
mean, that phrase is always said by the people that don't have the money, though. Yeah,
Yeah.
How do I convince myself?
That's exactly it. I mean, and again, if I get personal with myself, it's like my Disney addiction. It's that escape. I don't feel like I'm poor. I think I'm very blessed. But I can remember being younger and not even knowing I was poor, but just longing for the things that I find myself sometimes taking shortcuts or wanting to take shortcuts to have those things that I didn't have when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And very often those shortcuts, interest rates and things like that, they get you. And the system kind of knows that. And the system, I'll leave them nameless, they kind of depend on you to keep them wealthy. You know what I mean? I'm gonna take out a very, very, very high interest loan here to live high off the hog and pretend that I don't have to deal with these day-to-day struggles to get to that point. I'm gonna get the credit card so that I can live like that and then take the vacation. I'm gonna borrow. You know what I mean? And the banking and the higher ups kind of need you. They kind of feed off that because that's how they make their money. And I'm here to tell you, banks, I'm here for it. Keep giving me those loans.
Like, I'll be dead, and
yep. And I will pass the debt to my children, and they'll keep doing the same thing, and on we go.
So, one movie that comes to mind is Mr. Deeds. His happiness wasn't really affected by the money. In fact, he was buying other people's stuff. He bought like the whole road of, was it Corvettes or Porsches or something? And so he was just kind of spending it to make people happy. And it wasn't like, you could tell that it didn't add to his own understanding of the world or happiness or anything like that. And of course, that's why his love interest fell in love the way she did. But yeah, the idea that in his case, the money didn't matter. And again, probably idealistic, but yeah, there's an example right there. I had A Christmas Carol.
Hey,
anyone that you want. You have the rich guy, Scrooge, kind of the unhappiest guy in the entire movie, or in the entire story. And then when he's in Christmas past or present, all you see is all the happy people are all the ones less fortunate than him. They're having parties. They've got families that they go home to. They celebrate Christmas with everyone. And that's all the stuff that he doesn't do as a rich man, because he's kind of sacrificing all of that for money and unhappiness.
I mean, even like our Train to Busan character for a little while, right? The dad there. Very successful by every metric, and yet my kids
Kid's unhappy. I'm unhappy.
I'm having a strange wife or baby mama at least, and cities away.
Have someone buy a present for them, and they already have that one. You already got them. That was the last thing you got them. Oh.
What do kids want these days?
Yeah,
go buy that for my kids.
She's like, I already got one of these. You got for me last year.
Mr. Deeds is perfect, though. That's the one I had for mine.
Here's one in a different sense, though. There Will Be Blood.
Ooh.
Has all the money he could ever want, and in the end, he's still the same miserable.
That's funny. That's the opposite of Mr. Deeds.
He started from nothing, ended up with everything. Like, I guess Mr. Deeds.
Still an awful person. Yeah.
But got even more awful.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't really tell. He was just a hardworking guy at first, but became the worst person in the world by the end of the movie.
Didn't someone die in that first well he dug or something?
After he had struck.
Okay, that's right. The thing fell down a pillar.
Yeah.
The heartwarming story of two guys who start at the bottom, work their bottoms off, and end up at the bottom. That's the Flight of the Conchords. It's a horrible impression, but it's such a great, the idea that we're starting at the bottom and we work our butts off and we end up at the bottom. Someone said that with like a Sabres meme, like a story of a team that starts at the bottom and works their butts off and sacrifices and does all the things necessary and ends up at the bottom. Go Sabres. Sorry.
Another one I'll bring up is Home Alone again. And because as I've watched it this past season, because I'm a madman, I've been mapping out the next 2 or 3 seasons of Death Perception. I took notice of that depiction of class and the clash between these lowly bank robbers robbing from the rich for themselves. There's no Robin Hood stuff about it. It's just they're bank robber or just bandits, wet bandits,
burglars. Yeah, wet bandits.
And but the idea is the happiness that you see in the movie isn't. It's shown when Kevin sees his mom come back home at the end. And that's what matters most, is that the family coming together and him not being alone anymore. And that's the hype. That's like the big thing, the big ending to the movie. And he's finally happy that his mom is there and his family's there. And all the money in the world, and they're on vacation, and she's on vacation in France, and is like, no, I don't want to be here. I want to be with Kevin. It's kind of a different way of looking at it still, about how money is shown to not influence happiness, because they had all the money, they're on vacation, they've got this giant house, but what matters most is that moment when he hugs his mom again. So, and then from the wet bandits too, it's not something that they were focused on, and they were only focused on the material goods, only focused on money. And where did that end them up? In prison or behind in the backseat of a cop car. So kind of emphasizing again, like, oh, you're after the wrong stuff here. You're even though you are in the lower class, you're after the wrong thing. Here's what makes a man or a family truly wealthy, is this right here. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was another interesting look at it still.
Nice.
So you kind of see where we're going with this. So I'm going to ask the question, are any depictions really realistic? And if not, what's lacking from them?
I think we all agree that, well, maybe we don't. The most realistic depiction I saw was Florida Project. I felt like it was realistic because it talks about there's just so much dynamic discussed, and there's opportunities, and you can see, as the audience, we can see the opportunities that are there for mom to advance, and we see she's got the capability and wherewithal, but she doesn't take it. I feel like that is so realistic, because in our own communities, we see a lot of times similar people. You're like, you're smart, you have resources, and you, like Tin Man said, in his position, he sees families that he works with in those positions a lot, and not at their best usually. Mm-hmm. But you see family members that have made it with the same limited resources, and you're like, they made it. They had the same pool of crud to swim out of as you. And they swam, and you're sinking here, and your family's sinking, and it's got to be frustrating. I can't imagine. Teaching, you see it too. You're like, well, there's, you can see some poverty there. You can see there's some societal things that are going to hold you back. There are some things that are going to be challenging for you, but there are opportunities to move here. The thing that I find that's lacking in most Hollywood movies is their failure to discuss, and the reason is because it's not comfortable and it's not good. It's not easy storytelling, but they fail to discuss the gray areas, because in poverty and in wealth, there's these gray areas. Not every criminal is a sinner, and not every saint is it's one of those things like the yin yang type idea, that there's this balance, like. It's not all bad in the poverty. It's not all good in the wealth. There's some underhandedness and shadiness in the wealth. And there's some real, genuine, hardworking, sacrificing people. And movies will talk about those outliers. That's where a good movie's based. Those are characters that are interesting to us.
Yeah.
When you have someone, the street rat, Aladdin is really to be celebrated and praised because he's got these outstanding heroic qualities. And Jasmine is this selfless, I don't need the crown to be... So those are heroes we can write about and learn about. And as an audience, we can really celebrate them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why Hollywood maybe loses the gray of poverty, because I want to hear that story. It's probably why what's the box office draw of the Florida Project, That's why Boz had to twist my arm to watch it, So I think that Hollywood misses the gray areas a lot on purpose.
Yeah.
Because it's not a social commentary, it's money making. It's how can I tell a story that's accessible that people are going to want to come see.
Mm-hmm. And it's there's a lot of problems presented in real life with poverty that just other people don't have to worry about, and a lot of topics are touchy to speak about even today. You want to talk about like abortion and stuff like that. And I certainly won't get into that, but a lot of times those are problems faced by people less fortunate that don't have the means to take care of things or prevent things or what have you, or not even the means, but the thought process to address those things. And so a protagonist also has to make tough decisions if you're going to portray poverty true to what you're talking about, those gray areas, those tougher situations that in real life you, as a someone in poverty, might face. I feel like in movies, like you said, you don't want to portray that because you run the risk of losing the audience and their support for this character.
I have so if you don't mind, jump in. So realistic version, I had Florida Project for one. Another one I had, and it's not such a big contrast in class, but would be Bridesmaids. So you have Kristen Wiig, who's like feeling completely insecure about Maya Rudolph in her relationship because her new friend is so much more wealthy. She's handing puppies to everyone that shows up.
That's right.
We all have that one meme where she's on an airplane drunk. She's like, "Help me, I'm poor." That's the. She has to move back in with her mother and try to create her own business, and she has this rift that's created between her and her best friend now because of her inability to do what the other friend is able to do. Not realizing the other friend is wishing she had that same connection with her that she had, because she was, even though she's poor, she's making up for that gap in their relationship by throwing money at it. And so I thought that was a neat one that's not really brought up, and it's not a huge contrast in class, but it's enough where your character's struggling with that throughout the story.
And that drives the story.
Yeah, the whole story all the way through. Yeah,
it's really awesome. I didn't even think of that.
Like, she almost has to get out of that before she feels confident in herself in order to be the friend that she was supposed to be. That shouldn't have been an issue all along, but her insecurity with that friend.
And even opens herself up to loving herself. You know?
Yep.
That's a good one. I hate when you guys pick good ones like that. And I'm like,
it was out of nowhere. I Googled this thing all day yesterday. I was supposed to be training. Listen. I was supposed to be training someone yesterday, and all we did was go through movies where I was going through, and I'm just like, I can't see a connection to any of these. Like, and it was the same 7 movies. If you Google it, I'll show up, and I didn't see 6 of them. So,
Bridesmaids is a great
Bridesmaids
one,
I thought was solid because it's just the name, and I was just like, ooh, I did the.
Yeah.
All that showed up was the name of the movie. That's all. Give me a little bit of credit.
I know. And even like trying on the dresses. Which dress? She's like, oh, look at this one.
Yeah.
Because it's the price tag.
The real pricey one, right?
So when I have...
That's good.
I had this idea that lower class and poverty can experience more freedom, quote, freedom, and human experience compared to the strict and monotone lifestyles of the rich. But they're often shown as idealistic freedoms and not the severe struggles or other forms of strictness, such as disease, amount of like leisure time or activity, lack of travel, food, cleanliness. So all those things I mentioned before, they're glazed over. And so I think it's kind of all the same idea of the gray areas of poverty not being addressed when you're showing poverty on film. So I guess what's lacking is that portrayal, that addressing all of these things that are missing. So also missing is the arduous struggle to escape poverty. You know, the day in, day out worrying, you know, where my next meal is going to come from, how I'm going to get groceries. So maybe, I mean, could be day to day, but week to week. I know for a lot of people, you know, there's oftentimes I'm in Walmart and behind someone they might have a $70 bill and they're paying for, they got 3 different forms of payment ready to go because that's all they can put together the sum to pay for groceries for that week. So
it's heavy.
What happens is instead you're often shown, excuse me, as luck or some divine thing that I had mentioned before, that someone escapes poverty or has an extravagant experience. And so like the Willy Wonka movies, I think, are an example of that, where the kid and his family, they're sharing, it's at least 5 people
in a bed,
in one bed.
Yeah.
Sharing one room of a house. And the kid scrounges for money to get enough money for a single candy bar and miraculously win the chance to go to this thing. And much like our Knives Out character, is given this empire of chocolate. So, and, you know, again, Aladdin, you know, the magic genie who instantly makes him a prince. He had to risk his life to get the lamp, but in the matter of a few minutes, he went from street rat to top of the class system. So I think that's a lot of it too. Is what's lacking is the amount of idealism, I guess, that should be lowered a little bit.
They're plucking out, like, I think of like the savior idea, like the plucking out, like the Blind Side, where this kid, he's being plucked out by the wealthy family. He's been chosen and selected. Now he's on this path. You know what I mean? I think when you talk about poverty, there's a real risk that Hollywood runs. It's not a risk; it paid off. Won awards, but like there's a risk. I want to get in. Yeah, there's a lot of thinking people that talk about this dynamic. Like, is there a responsibility that Hollywood has to society to tell stories a certain way? And I disagree with that. I think if you're creative, it's art. You create your art,
right?
You know, so I hate to even use any of their research, but like listening to some of the things that they have to say about poverty and class in Hollywood, and not just Hollywood, but also in TV series and things like that. I hate the fact that they're like trying to tell you, well, you got to be careful of this and that. And I get it. We can have that discussion because it's our perceptions. But when you start having like think tanks coming up to try to petition Hollywood and artists, you should do your art this way because it's better for us collectively. I don't know if it is, and I don't know if it is better for us. Sometimes it's better to be exposed to all these stories and these ways of hearing a story. I know it's better for me to see it that way rather than to have some very tame version. I would never have seen Mother. There's a lot of Florida Project wouldn't have been made. I need to be able to see it in a very real way because my experience is so limited. So I need Hollywood to be able to tell these stories creatively, and I need people to be able to tell stories honestly, because if I have it all watered down, then what am I getting? Am I learning? Am I growing at all? Anyway, it's a whole deep conversation beyond film when people start saying, well, you should be careful when you're making these films. You need to consider this, this, and this, and this, and this. Well, if I'm writing a song, if I'm doing a painting, and I have someone sitting there saying, oh, be careful of this, it's not art anymore, and it's not authentic anymore.
I remember probably the only interaction I had on like a discussion board online was about the 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and someone asked where all the racial representation was, and I said, like I said, my only participation in any discussion board before I was like, this is stupid. People are idiots. But, I typed in, I said, well, it takes place in 1970s Texas. Yeah. So the people that you're asking to take part in the story probably don't even exist within 200 miles of this, of this setting. And I think there was some response. I was like, no, there's no use arguing. But it's the same thing. Where
that's right.
If you're going to be true to what you're representing, the artists, that's their perception of what it is. And
because it's a slippery slope if you start shaping art. Mm-hmm. I think it's a slippery slope.
So it's, like you said, though, on the other hand, it's some of these movies win awards by people doing just that. So interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll transcend any of the real issues when you just stick to the honesty. I don't know, there's a human on the other end of in this story that it's showing, and if it doesn't appear to be a human, if it's an amalgamation of ideas, you're going to lose your audience. It's and the fact that people are watching this movie means they actually did a decent enough job of making us believe what these people are going through.
Yeah.
So on their end, good job, movie makers.
Yeah, that's
well, it's
true.
you're connecting to if you stay people. Honest to what the subject matter is. So if you show, I'll talk about the movie that I was going to bring to the table, or one of them for a realistic depiction of poverty. Something like Precious.
That one showed up, but I didn't see Precious.
It's been a long. I saw it when it first came out, and it was in pieces. But that's a movie where a lot of tough subject matter. Scenes of she's got a child already, and she's due for another one, and you find out who the father is, and the way her mother treats her. It's all tough stuff to write about and watch. But what's the worst that you could say? As if you're watching and you say, "Oh, I didn't like how that that mother and that father treated that girl," blah blah blah. There's no rebuttal to it. It's that's what happened. That's what happens in Harlem. That's what happens in cities of poverty and those types of people. You can't argue. You can't say, "Oh, as an artist, you can't tell them, you did terrible setting these people up. This is unbelievable." No, it happens. And so movies like Precious, where it's realistic to the point where you don't want to watch it. It's if I want to watch this, I could just go down to, Main Street or whatever.
Yeah.
So that Precious is definitely one of them where I want to watch it again, but probably just one more time ever. And kind of just to piece together and really get the message again. Mm-hmm. Winter's Bone was another one. Have you guys seen that one? With one of our no-shows.
I'll say passively. Passively.
Our weekly no-shows, Jennifer Lawrence.
Yep. No call, no show this week.
I know. Well, I can't say no call. Yeah.
But the way they showed the daily struggles, the daily stress of just living. At least when you're in the working class, you got work to do. Okay, going to work, come home. Next day, it's stable. It's, but their life was just so, from day to day, chaotic and stressful. And, I'm worrying about where my dad's missing. No one else cares. I got to find him because if I don't, I owe this money to these people, and then, or we're going to lose the house or something along those lines. In the meantime, I got younger siblings, and I got to feed them. I can't remember. I don't know if she had two. It's been a while since I watched that one too. But it was I'm hunting little animals to try and feed them, and the house I got is just boards, and she wears a similar outfit from every day. You had mentioned when you get a little bit of money, you get the new shoes, but no, her outfit was just the same thing, meant for staying warm in the cold. So I thought that was a pretty good depiction too, where you don't feel good during the entire movie, even when things are resolved, it's kind of like, well, there's one check mark. Like, you've presented me with probably 10 other empty boxes that need to be checked for this character to be in a better place.
Yeah. I think that's why probably filmmakers stay away from that, because it's like, I'm not going to sit through that. This is reality. I want to go for my escape to films. Atlanta, it's not a movie, but like Atlanta, that series.
Donald Glover?
Yeah. I mean, awesome, but it's like, when I watch it, I'm like, it's a little bit down. I get a little bit down about it. The highs are great, but the down is just like a lot of reality. It's great, but there's a lot of reality there. And it's almost like, okay, I get it. It's like, okay, the filmmaker wants you to. I'm like, all right, great, but I'm not going to let. It's almost like, what is it? Some of the things we watched in season 1. Mm-hmm. It's like, yes, skin and rink. I get it. However, I don't want to feel like this. And so therefore I shall not feel like this.
So it's funny when we relate that back to is it realistic, what's lacking? Because it's easy for us to say, oh, well, Hollywood wants it to be a nice movie, and then here we are. Well, I don't want to watch it.
Right? Isn't that true? Yeah. So that's really good.
I got a decent one for unrealistic, I think.
Before we move on to idealistic, do you have any for realistic?
Oh, idealistic. I had listed it as unrealistic, but an idealistic one.
No. Before we move on to that, do you have a realistic one other than what you've
No, just Bridesmaids, and I had Florida Project initially, and then I added Bridesmaids to it.
Yeah, my realistic one is The Green Book.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And the only reason why I picked it is because, and it may not be realistic, but I like the fact that it gave the attempt to portray poverty and race accurately and differently. Here's what I mean. So like Tony Lip's family is an Italian family, New York City. Pretty poor, like very working class poor. It shows him going in a hot dog eating contest to buy their groceries for the next week. He brings the money over and they go, oh yeah, okay, great, we got rent due next. And then it's contrasted with Dr. Shirley, who's this world-renowned concert pianist. He happens to be black during Jim Crow America. And he needs a driver, right? He needs a driver to drive him through the South to kind of help him, almost like a bodyguard. You know. And I just like the fact that poverty's looked at as Tony Lip's family, like the white guy's the poor guy, and the black guy's the affluent guy. And they both have their challenges because, and the truth is, the poverty doesn't care what color you are, and neither does. This is going to be sensitive, but neither does wealth. Honestly, they don't care what color you are. Really, it comes down to not just how hard you work, but it comes down to opportunity. The opportunity that's there. What did you do with the opportunity? And it comes down to luck sometimes. It comes down to where you were born into. Like I say, the born on third act like you had to hit a triple. Mm-hmm. Sometimes those people are the most annoying people because they sit there, well, like, you did nothing. I've grinded my whole life and I've hustled my whole life. And because you were born there because, mom or dad owned a smoke shop even. Or because, so again, I'm not hating on anybody, but it's like, you're sitting there driving this vehicle because you did this. Great, good for you. I go to work every day, 3 jobs. And so it's like there's a little resentment there, right? I really felt like the Green Book did a good job of saying, Dr. Shirley's mom played piano with him since he was 3 years old and taught him how to play the piano and taught him classic music and gave him these opportunities. Tony Lip's family, it was survival in the neighborhood. You didn't strive for any more. This is fine. It's family. It's food. It's, we all live together. We have this tiny house, and this is Christmas, and our kids are fine. They're warm, and these values all clash in that movie. But I think it's realistic because it doesn't just assign race to poverty. It kind of actually plays with it a little bit. And I thought it was cool. I thought it was a neat job. They did a neat job. I
like that movie. It was a fun situation. Like they were like, "Hey, this is a situation we got. Let's put these guys in a, it's almost like a southern black bar, and you're gonna have him play some blues. Let's see if we can make him play blues in this situation."
It's almost like a buddy road trip movie. Yeah, it follows that formula more than it follows like a social commentary formula. That's what makes it work so good.
could we make these guys any different and put them in crazy scenarios? And it worked out well. The story
absolutely
was
one of my favorites.
I liked it. I liked that movie too.
The only other realistic portrayal I have is Antlers.
Ooh.
So K-Max,
hold on.
I think you both have watched this with me.
Yeah.
I have seen this one.
I think we watched it here.
Did we watch it? I watched it here.
I watched it here also.
Okay. How many times?
That's half the movies that we discussed. I watched it here.
Jim, you were there.
Yeah.
I lost my virginity to your daughter. You were there.
So Antlers, even though it's a movie featuring a Wendigo, the whole idea of a Wendigo is based on poverty and desperation and the horrors that come about because of people in those situations. And the movie follows this young kid who is part of a house in poverty, and you can tell absent parents. One is turning into this monster, but I mean, when I say realistic, that is a symbol for what's going on with his parents and his mom, or I'm sorry, with his dad. So the monster is becoming, and this almost disease that's taking over him is itself, I think, a very on point representation of how poverty can affect people. And because this guy was making meth or something, right? You're trying to make meth, and just absent from his kid. You could sense some abuse there, and just the level that this house was taken care of, and the driveway or lack of there one, and the people at a school trying to help him, and how he differs from all the kids there, and just the way that he carries himself is not someone that, school, but his real struggle is once he's done with school, and where's he go after that, and who takes care of him. And
so you're saying the idea of the metaphor that the monster is representing is like a good realistic-ish depiction?
Right.
Okay, then I got one I can jump off. I can springboard off of that one.
Okay,
Awesome.
What do you got?
They Live.
Ooh.
Okay, so you have these aliens who are invading, and the people who actually have any money are the sellouts, because they're aware of the aliens, because they're like the invading yuppie culture-ish type things. Oh, those are the ones with the money. They got the fancy watches that can. Oh, we got one that can see. And only someone wearing the glasses, because he's like half a homeless construction worker who kind of has eyes now that can see the people. Oh, hey, they're the ones who are. If you buy in and know what the aliens are doing, giving them a pass or whatever, that's what gives you money. Wow. That's what lets you have an in with them. You gotta sell out. You gotta sell out your fellow humans in order to get that wealth with that the aliens got.
That's pretty cool.
So I thought that was a neat one. I watched the movie a few times, and I was like, just like the fun.
You're like, there's gotta be a message.
Yeah. Consume. I'm like, I don't think that's it. What else is there?
Crazy glasses.
That's one heck of a fist fight those two guys are having.
Like, we're good. 18 minutes. All right, keep going, I guess. So let's get our idealistic. We've talked a lot about, I think a good portion here of realistic versus idealistic movies. But to close out here, let's get our idealistic.
I really like mine.
Presentations. Yeah, go for it.
All right, My Fair Lady. My Fair Lady is mine. I love just the flat out contrast between the two characters. Eliza Doolittle, who's this, just this little townie. She's got this Cockney accent, very barely understand her. And then you have Professor Henry Higgins, this upper class intellectual scholar who just takes it. He goes, I bet I can make a lady out of her by just make her appear like a lady and make people believe that she's a lady. And there's this bet this little bet, and it's just so they play this.
I've never seen My Fair Lady.
They play this trivial little bet. It's almost it makes me feel very much like Gatsby, where Daisy is kind of like just this item to be bargained with to see which way she goes. That's how Eliza feels to me in this bet. Like Henry, the professor's like, I can get her to pass off as a lady.
Is it kind of like, what's that Freddie Prinze Jr. movie where they go pick out the girl and they're like, I can make her prom queen?
I bet you. What is that called? Because I bet you it's got to be an adaptation. It has to be.
Foss, what's the name of this movie? Because they did a spoof of it with not another teen movie.
But it probably felt like it when I was talking about My Fair Lady, right? It probably felt like that. Had the same feel.
She's All That.
She's All That. That's
okay.
it.
It must be.
Okay.
It must be because that is it plays with social class and it plays with fringes of poverty, but it's just like taking this, street rat and making her pass off as this. And to me, it's like it's not realistic. It's like the filmmaker had to show the contrast blatantly.
One just came to mind for me.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. The filmmaker, their job was to make sure Eliza was this backward, and make sure you saw the professor as this high, enlightened, uppity, upper class. So that's why I feel it was idealistic, because the filmmaker had to go so deep into creating that so that the film, you could see this transformation. Right? Because like even Trading Places, like you have to see Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy's characters. You have to see they have to be diametrically opposed, and otherwise the transformation isn't as contrast. And so that's where My Fair Lady does it for me.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Thanks. What was yours that came to mind?
I don't know if it fits as good, but the only one that came to mind when I'm hearing about this was what is it called? The New Guy?
New Guy. I know what you mean. The guy with the really long face.
Yeah.
Really like kind of tall and gangly.
Gangly guy, yeah.
He's from Road Trip, right? There's some movies he was in. Like I know exactly who you're talking about, and I know the movie.
So he goes to the new school and walks up because they have like even a class structure even for like recess, like or for lunch. Their class structure is set up in like a staircase. He has to go up all the levels to get to the top, and then has to fight this guy. Him being such a poor nobody in his last school, and getting like having all the social shame from the last school to come here and then win everybody over with his, and then they all find out who he is, and then he rallies everyone to win the football game, and it's the most, that is idealistic.
Yes.
Maybe not as much in poverty realm, but that just one that came to mind.
I think it works though.
Because of there being a class structure in place, but it's like it's more of a social class structure than a monetary class structure.
There is still haves and have-nots.
There's and have-nots, and it's very idealistic. They win the game. Everyone in the last one, he rides in on a horse like from Braveheart.
Yes, that's right. I kind of like that movie.
Would that be your presentation then for your?
I don't know. That just came to mind as I was thinking it, but I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, mine's going to close out because that's kind of
okay. give me a bullet point for this idea again. Like this is an idealistic version of
poverty in movies. So, ease of which people move throughout the classes, use of luck to get out of poverty, circumstance.
Ready Player One?
Ooh.
Hit me.
Okay, so the movie Ready Player One. I know you read the book.
Oh, God.
You said you loved the book, too.
Oh,
I've never read the book. Or
never
read the book, but I do like the movie. I enjoyed the movie very much.
Both yummy. Yep.
So it's a company that is ran by one inventor, and he had died. and he had hidden Easter eggs inside this VR world of video games. Have you seen the movie?
Only part so far.
Okay. So, I think his name was Halliday, and everybody, in order to find these Easter eggs, you could win ownership of the entire company. So it's like a Charlie and Chocolate Factory type thing. And then there's a corporation that comes into play. Ben Mendelsohn being in charge of IOI, I think it's called. So it's like it looks like a 101. That is IOI is the name of the company that he is the head of, corporate monster that he is. Shout out to Ralph, big Ben Mendelsohn fan. Don't know why he had like this big attachment to Ben Mendelsohn. He was just like, "Hey, you see the new Ben Mendelsohn movie coming out?" Like,
he was like
quirky,
30th on the
much
cast list, you know.
But this kid, being just the gritty, young, dirt poor, lived in like these. They look like trailers stacked on top of each other, or like Connex boxes. He lived in like these high-rise Connex boxes. Family was dirt poor, but he was got that Aladdin quality that him and his little crew end up finding all the Easter eggs, end up winning the prize over the corporate monsters, and gain control of the entire what was it called? The Oasis. That's what it's called, the Oasis. Yeah. And I don't know, that was probably the most idealistic in poverty to riches idea, and it's very much Charlie and Chocolate Factory type thing too. A little less based on luck, but more based on his skills, abilities, and his
kind of like Aladdin though. Like,
very much more like Aladdin.
His acrobatics and his
savvy and the people,
the land.
Yes, very very fitting into the hero's journey progress. The people he found and the relationships he's gained throughout it. You know, to come through to the other side. So it was a idealistic rise to the top, to the absolute top. Because in that world, money and like all like the majority of money and transfers of power and authority kind of came through this VR world. Like that was all of like commerce was done through this world in VR. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of neat seeing.
Yeah, I mean,
idealistic. I would say that.
I steal James's word, dystopian. That is like one of my favorite stories that are in that world. Like the social order has been flipped on its head, and now it's all VR.
Yeah,
but there's when you look in the VR, there still is this social pecking order.
There's social pecking order,
and to win it, you have to like solve this prize.
Yep.
It's cool. Good find. Good one.
All right. So
I hate you. That's 2 today.
So the one I'm going to bring up. We'll use this one to end the episode with is Titanic.
Ooh.
Bring it back to Leo.
Yeah. Yes. Again. So I never realized how much class and themes of poverty and wealthiness played into the movie until I was coming up with this. Because, I was young enough when we watched it. It was like, oh, a naked drawing and there's nudity in it. And that's as far as it got.
Yeah.
Wait, King of the World, like all sorts of just meme stuff.
You guys have evolved?
But it was like, I never really revisited it that much. I watched it all the way through when me and my wife were starting to date, but then I don't think I've rewatched it since. So that's been at least 15 years. And I started to watch part of it last night just to get myself reacquainted with it, because as I'm breaking down the movie, I'm thinking, this has a lot to say about class and poverty and wealthiness and social norms and all that. And pretty much everything that we've talked about today. So even going from the start, whose side are we on? Well, we're on Jack's side, right? Mm-hmm. The free spirit, he's always happy. He gets the girl. He stands up to the snobbish people at the dinner. Of course, we're on Jack's side. And I guess we're partly we're on Rose's side as well. She's not like the biggest personality in the story, but she's willing to leave that snobbish, rich lifestyle to go with the free young guy, and you get this sense where she was what, 17, her character in the movie, and Billy Zane's character is
handsome.
Well, you can tell he's much older than her character is.
Yeah.
So it's this idea that she's also young and breaking free from the patriarch and the hierarchy and rebelling, and so we're on these two sides. And again, good versus evil, poor versus rich. Mm-hmm. You have all the rich people are snobby, you know. Oh, you know, so you like to. That's how you like to live, is it? You know, like kind of a backhanded question, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I just thought of a couple other good movies. Just hearing you guys talk about.
Well, like
it.
I said, this is a huge topic, so we try to funnel it down to this conversation. But
I'm going to write it down as a honorable mention in my notes over here.
But so again, good versus bad, poor versus rich, and the strive to be on the other side. You have Rose seeing the freedom and lack of responsibility that Jack has, and she wants to experience that. And then you have Jack just kind of going from day to day, just living his life, and that brings us to luck or some intervention playing a part in moving between the classes. And the only way Jack got on the ship in the first place was with 5 minutes left to go before launch.
A poker game or something?
He won a hand at poker.
Yeah.
And got tickets for him and his friend to be on the Titanic. So if that's not luck, I don't know what is.
He didn't seem lucky by the end.
Tin Man, get him. But then that plays into how you were talking about the mindset of people, where it's well, if I get something big, I'm spending it right away.
Yeah.
If I do get anything wealthy, or if I have a sliver of how the wealthy live, or leisure time, or vacation, or anything like that, I'm taking it right away. Mm-hmm. And that's the epitome of that is, well, I won tickets to America.
Oh yeah,
5 minutes left, so I'm gonna, I'm going.
Yeah. Yep.
So just that you won it, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the idea of movement is kind of shown in there, right? Both characters, and it becomes this little gray, blurred areas. I want to say gray because I want that same connotation that you brought up earlier, K-Max, but blurred lines between the classes where you're on this ship, and it doesn't really matter because where you are right now, you're in luxury. You're on the Titanic. No one can tell you otherwise. And whether you're at the table for dinner or you're partying in the boiler room or whatever it was below deck with all the workers, either way, you're on the Titanic. Lines are kind of blurred here, whether you're rich or poor. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really matter because you saw them having a blast dancing in below deck there. Mm-hmm. And so, again, money not playing a huge part in whether you're happy, shown within this movie. And then, is it realistic? What's lacking? And we mentioned kind of the idealism is shown here, where we don't have to think about the life that Jack has lived. All we know right now is that he's on the Titanic. He can draw. He's young. He's hungry. And he's in love with his girl. And that's all we really care about at the moment. We don't care. And with, to go along with the movie, we don't care how he's going to be living tomorrow. We don't care how he's lived yesterday. And that's why he has to die. And that's why there's no room for him on that door. There's no room for that mindset going forward.
It's really good. There's so much room.
So
there's so much room on that door.
Well, that's with allegory. pushing the decisions and the story makers, filmmakers. Because that was the only other when the movie came out. It was Kate Winslet's boobs, and Jack could have fit on that door. Those were the two big talking points when it came out.
Yeah.
And to me, what the filmmakers are saying about poverty and that mindset is, well, first off, the rich can be less snobby. Mm-hmm. We'll get that out of the way. But there's no room for this mindset of gambling each day and living in poverty and not being smart with your money or your future. There's no room for that, and Rose outgrows that in that scene there and lets him, because once they come to America, there's no room for that, for her future, to keep moving. So that was my quick,
it's awesome
analysis of Titanic in these lenses, I guess.
Yeah. Nice. Cause of death, metaphor.
Boom.
And you want to keep going. The idea that she's on a door.
Yeah.
Not a raft. Not,
not a raft, not a table.
Doors open up. Yeah. So
it's good stuff.
Ooh.
So that, and as I was going through, I was like, "Is there time to switch this one out?" And then I went through the other two choices. No, the other two choices are too important not to, use. So, any other thoughts before I
had a bunch of movies I could not, as I'm going, I got some honorable mentions that
toss your honorable mentions out there.
Could have fit into certain spots. 8 Mile.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Demolition Man.
Oh, Demolition Man is a good one.
Being John Spartan, fitting in both, not fitting in either category, in the poor side, fighting, and then in the rich side over here. In Time. Anybody see that one?
I know I did.
So that's the one with Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, that's right.
Being given all this crazy amount of time, equates to wealth in this world.
I think about that movie more than I should every single time. I'm add something to my
make a good decision.
Is this worth my time?
Dip my pizza in blue cheese. I'm just minus another 3 hours there.
I look at my Fitbit watch all the time, and I think about that movie all the time. I'm like, doggone it.
It's you know what? Take a week for yourself, and then being you're eating too fast.
Yeah.
They have to tell him because he's not fitting in this category yet, and it just the fact that he's eating too fast, or he gambles his life down to seconds left, and he's just I live my life at this level. It's not a big deal to me, and everyone's panicking. I think he wins it was a poker game. Also,
what a cool idea! What a cool idea!
Joker, that was another one too. A little class structure in there. The Notebook. So,
well, hello, Arian. I'm such an idiot.
Rachel McAdams' mother drives to
Tin Man's
the
she's gonna kill me.
Paramore drives to a mine or a coal mine or whatever it is, a quarry, and sees the guy that she wanted to go with, but she went to the comfortable, more richer option, and then so there was the wealth.
Really good.
So playing off of that, one of the ones I had in mind to watch was Room with a View. Daniel Day-Lewis. But ultimately, I felt like it was more self-discovery and freedom more than poverty and class, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Man.
But yeah, so the next two movies we're gonna watch. Let's see. Do you guys want to go with black and white one first, or do you want to go with a foreign film first?
C.
Again, playing into your if it's too realistic, I don't want to be watching it.
Yeah. I'd go foreign. How about you?
I'm down. Whatever.
Let's go foreign.
Well, it's kind of a trick question because I think they're both foreign.
I knew he was going to do that.
But let's go with a realistic portrayal first. So the first movie then we're going to watch is Bicycle Thieves, 1948.
That was in the searches I was doing.
All right. Bicycle Thieves.
I think sometimes it's interpreted different. So like bicycle thief, it might come under the bicycle thief.
Okay.
But
I saw it came up as the bicycle thief.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's all the same thing.
We got a
1948.
Streaming service?
Max.
Oh, I got that.
I got that.
Prime Video.
I got that too.
Amazon Prime, I believe.
I've got that
Amazon,
too.
Yeah. So that's the first one that we're going to watch. So that'll be episode 4. And then episode 5, 2019's Parasite.
Oh, okay.
So.
Ooh. Well, there we go. I got it.
So those are the next 2 movies we'll be watching. Hopefully, the audience can find the time to watch.
I know there's some that will. They look forward to it, hearing what's coming up next.
And we'll dive even more. Like I said, it's a huge topic to try and
it's wonderful
get into, but hopefully, we did some progress. Hopefully, we did some rightness here in discussing it. But we'll be discussing it even more in the next 2 episodes with Bicycle Thieves and Parasite. Any other closing remarks?
There must be some way out of here, said the Joker to the thief. There's too much confusion here, and I can't get no relief. Social class poverty. As told by Jimi Hendrix, and the Beatles, and U2, and K-Max.
Quote, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.